Hi, welcome to my channel. Please like, comment, and subscribe. The Jones Act is a federal law that regulates maritime commerce in the United States. The Jones Act requires goods shipped between U.S. ports to be transported on ships that are built, owned, and operated by United States citizens or permanent residents. The Jones Act is Section 27 on the Merchant Marine Act of 1920, which provided for the maintenance of American merchant marine. The Merchant Marine Act of 1920, better known as the Jones Act, is a protectionist law that regulates maritime shipping in the United States. The Jones Act requires that any cargo traveling by sea between two U.S. ports must sail on an American-owned ship that is built in the United States and have a crew where the majority are U.S. citizens. The Jones Act was passed in the wake of the First World War in order to boost the strategically important shipping industry. Today, the Jones Act is credited with supporting around 650,000 jobs in the shipping business and providing $150 billion in economic activity. Critics say that the Jones Act increases the cost of shipping for U.S. islands like Hawaii and Puerto Rico. Understanding the Jones Act considered protectionist legislation, the Jones Act focuses on issues related to maritime commerce, including sabotage, which is the transport of people or goods between ports in the same country. It also provides sailors with additional rights, including the ability to seek damages from the crew, captain, or ship owner in the case of injury. Perhaps its most lasting effect is its requirement that goods shipped between U.S. ports be transported on ships built, owned, and operated by United States citizens or permanent residents. The Jones Act increases the cost of shipping to Hawaii, Alaska, Puerto Rico, and other non-continental U.S. lands that rely on imports by restricting the number of vessels that can legally deliver goods. The supply of American-built, owned, and operated vessels is relatively small compared to the global supply of ships, while the demand for basic goods tends to remain constant or grow. This creates a scenario in which shipping companies can charge higher rates because of lack of competition. With the increased cost passed on to consumers, this may lead to consumers taking on more debt in order to finance cases, which can have a negative effect on government finance. The Jones Act is a piece of protectionist legislation that considerably increases the cost of shipping goods between two U.S. ports. The Jones Act was enacted by the United States Congress in order to stimulate the shipping industry in the wake of World War I. The requirement about shipping cargo between American ports only on American ships benefited to the constituent of Leslie Jones, the U.S. Senator from the state of Washington, who introduced the act. Washington had a large shipping industry, and the act was designed to give the state a monopoly on shipping to Alaska. While the act benefited Jones' constituents, it increased the shipping costs of other states and U.S. territories. The Jones Act was launched to revitalize the U.S. maritime shipping industry, which had been depleted after World War I, by requiring domestic cargo to the U.S. ships and American crews. The law was seen as a way to support the strategically important shipping industry and prevent the country from becoming too reliant on foreign-built ships. Nowadays, it is also seen as a way to generate jobs and business revenue. According to proponents, the Jones Act supports 650,000 American jobs, generating $150 billion in economic activity each year. The Jones Act requires that any cargo shipped between two U.S. ports must be transported on ships that first are owned by U.S.-based companies with over 75% of the ownership stake held by U.S. citizens. Second, have a crew where the majority are U.S. citizens, are built and registered in the U.S. However, there are some exceptions to the Jones Act that may be granted in cases of national emergency. The Act also allows sailors to bring suits against their employer for injuries suffered at sea. On several occasions, the U.S. government has granted temporary waivers on Jones Act requirements. This is typically done in the wake of a natural disaster such as hurricane in order to increase the number of ships that can legally supply goods to an affected area. There are two types of waiver for the Jones Act, both related to national defense. The Secretary of Defense can request waivers in the interest of national defense, and there is a separate procedure for non-defense entities. In both cases, the final authority in granting a waiver is the Secretary of Homeland Security. The act has been criticized for restricting who can conduct trade with Puerto Rico, and it has been cited as a factor leading to the island's economic and budgetary troubles. A study released by the Network Federal Reserve in 2012 found that the cost of transporting a shipping container to Puerto Rico from the mainland was twice as high as shipping the same container from a foreign port. A 2019 report prepared by the New York City-based economic consulting firm John Dunham and Associated found that in Puerto Rico the differentials between U.S. and foreign flag carriers range from about 41.0% to as high as 62.0% for bulk cargo and between 29% and 89% for containerized freight. It calculated the additional cost caused by the act for the island economy to be nearly $1.2 billion, which comes to roughly $374 per resident. Opponents of the act want it repealed, hoping that this will result in decreased shipping costs, lower prices, and less strain on government budgets. Proponents of the act include states with owners of navy yards, defense firms, and shipping industry, as well as the longshoremen and other personnel who work in ports. Scrapping the law will likely reduce the number of U.S. maritime jobs while lowering shipping costs. In early 2022, the Jones Act made headlines for its potential role in their U.S.-Russia oil business. Following Russia's invasion of Ukraine in late February, the U.S. banned Russian oil and gas imports on March 8. The U.S. has traditionally relied on import from Russia. In particular, Hawaii has typically imported millions of barrels of Russian crude oil per year, accounting for up to a quarter of all Russian oil shipments to the U.S. Critics of the Jones Act suggest that it limits the viability of shipping oil and gas to remote areas like Hawaii, forcing the state to rely on import from Russia. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and also subscribe.